Okay, for the benefit of those who are new to Jux or new to fractals generally, I've decided to do a video to try and explain some of the ins and outs, or certainly how to get around Jux and how to use the various parts of the interface. So without further ado, I'm going to launch the program and we'll get into it from there. Okay, with Jux open, what I'm going to do with this exercise is I'm going to concentrate solely on Mandelbrot Deep Zoom exploration. And there's a whole host of fractals in pretty much all fractal programs. I think Mandelbrot is one particular fractal form that I want to look at because basically you use things that come into play. If you have a look at in Jux, for example, max iterations, this comes into play a lot more with the Mandelbrot type fractal than it does, say, with its counterpart, the Julia or Newtons or whatever. It's pretty heavy. To get the best definition, it's pretty heavily dependent on iteration count. So before we look at this, let's try find a nice fractal, okay? Two of the main areas in the Mandelbrot set, up here and down here, we have what is known as Seahorse Valley. And over here on the right, we have what is known as Elephant Valley. For the purpose of this exercise, I think I'm going to concentrate on Elephant Valley solely because it's a little bit easier to colour the fractals than it is on the Seahorse Valley fractals. So, okay, to get started, okay, this may be a lot for some people, but I work on the Mac. I am very au fait with keyboard shortcuts, and even in programs like Jux, I tend to use keyboard shortcuts to the full advantage. Okay, with the Mandelbrot set open, okay, I'm going to just click and drag the fractal, just to get a little bit more centered in the screen. Okay, as I said, I'm going to concentrate on Elephant Valley. What you can actually see up here in the top of the viewfinder is basically this is what happened to the Julia set. If I was to mouse over here and click Shift, okay, and then click, it'll give me that Julia correspondent. But I said I'm not getting into Julia with this, but just to explain that that's what this is, okay. By mousing over, you get a live update basically on what the corresponding Julia for the Mandelbrot set would look like, okay. By holding Shift and clicking, it'll bring you into the Julia. To click back out of it, just come over here, click Julia Mandelbrot, and we get back to where we were. Say you were, say you were zoomed in, okay? Zoomed in somewhere, okay? You click to get back to the Julia Mandelbrot set. Oh, where are we, okay? If you click down here, okay, it'll reset the viewpoint. It'll bring us back to basically ground zero, effectively. Okay, Elephant Valley. Let's zoom in on this. Okay, there's two ways we can do this. By holding down the Control key, okay, clicking and dragging, okay, then releasing the mouse. Control key, click and drag, release the mouse, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one. We'll go on the north side, okay. We're going to go up here, click and drag. It'll bring us in quite steep. We'll go in again, okay. Click and drag. Click and drag. Okay, once you get to something like this, I'm going to hold down. Okay, I'm on the Mac. I'm not sure what key this is on the PC, but I'm using the Command key on the Mac. I can click and drag, and I can zoom in this way. Okay, again I'm going to go back to Control, click and drag. Control, click and drag, okay, till I get to something like this, okay. Now, I'm going to select where, see this kind of, it looks like, okay, it's small in the viewfinder, it looks like double circles or double ellipse or something here. I'm going to click, drag, select that to zoom in on it. Click, drag, select again. Okay, now what I've got everything here is white. Okay, I can't see a thing. Why is this? This is what I was referring to with the iteration count. Okay, if I up the iteration count, we've got definition. Okay, I'm going to be going in quite a bit. Actually, before I go in, what I'll do is let's crop in tight on this just to see what we've got here. Okay, you see the way we've got a circle here. Okay, you could probably do something with this, but it's often very nice to have the little Mandelbrot figure in the middle here. So again, this is resolution dependent. Iteration count, iteration count. Okay, for deep zooms, I tend to work with around 2000, 2048 iterations. Okay, and what we have here is quite a nice looking Mandelbrot. Again, as I said, it's control on the Mac. I'm clicking it up. You may have to look at this up or ask Garth basically what the key is on Windows for this. I'm not sure what it is, but as I said, on the Mac, I work on Mac. Command gives me this functionality. Okay, I want to rotate this. I think there probably is a shortcut for rotate built into Jux, but again, I'm not sure what that one is in this case. So I'm going to use over here in the view. I'm going to use the angle. Okay, just to angle it around a bit. Okay, incidentally here, as I said, I can zoom in, I can zoom out, just by clicking and dragging, scrubbing. Okay, that's another way of viewing in and out. If you're more comfortable doing it this way, do it this way. But like I said, with the keys, I find it much faster, much more intuitive to work that way. Okay, so we have kind of a nice looking Mandelbrot on screen here. So what I want to do is save this in one of the memory dots. What you're seeing here in Jux version 1.7, we've got 2 rows of memory dots. On the top we have the Mandelbrot position. Okay. If you were working in Julia mode, you've got memory spots here which will actually save the Julia information, which would appear down here. So really the top part, which is your iteration counts, your bailout counts, and your position, can be stored in a memory dot up here. Okay, if you were in Julia, as I said, you'd have an extra, you could actually save the Julia position here as well. So I'm happy with this. Okay, 2048, we'll come back and we'll tweak these later, and I'll explain this. This is to do with, the bailout will help you a lot in defining your coloring. You know, a lot of people go into coloring and basically they'll probably click on the dice, you know, oh, I want a mutagen, I want a script, I want to click something, it'll do it all for me. Okay, my point is, what is the point? You're in a fractal program really to learn about fractals, you know, to color them, to be artistic. If you're relying on potluck all the time, what's the point, you know? We've got a standard gradient, flat, nothing going on here, okay? So again, let's save it in the standard state. Again, the memory dot will save the gradient information, the coloring information here. Okay, so far there's nothing going on here, but if you look here in the amount, okay, there is actually a texture here. It's just that everything has been dialed down to 0 to default. If I actually bring this up a bit, you'll start to see a bit of texture appearing here, okay? We can go into the clipping, okay, which again, you know, we can play with the definition, redefine this as we go. With the mix, okay, refers to the 2, if you like, the 2 algorithms in here. We've got scales and round, okay. By clicking on this, we can change it, okay. So we've got triangle out and triangles. Okay, if we, again, as I say, changes in appearance, basically it's mixing these 2 algorithms together, or not, as the case may be. So again, I'll leave these with you to experiment with, as there are multiple options in this, but this basically will change the flavors, okay. You know, I mean, I admit I use these myself just to save time. I'll often get this and I'll go in and I'll change one or even both of these. It's just to give me a starting point, okay. Okay, some people might say, oh, that's great, lovely fractal, let's go ahead and render it, okay? Okay, we've already got this saved, so let's go in and play a little bit with gradients. So the first thing you can do is you click on the gradient, just click on it, and it will bring up the gradient editor. Now, this may not be too intuitive at first, but these guys, basically, this is where your color cycling takes place in Jux. Okay, to me this wasn't too evident. I was kind of wondering if this was just shifting the gradient, wasn't giving you a live update, or I wasn't really sure. It was just, you know, again, I'm going to save this, okay, as a default. Again, I don't know if it was this. You go in and, you know, you got a multiple, then you click this, kind of what's going on. This is actually the gradient cycler. Okay, so this red, in this case, on the gradient band, this red refers to the red here, okay? So just click on it. You can click in the swatch here and you can change the color. Okay, we could go okay. We can go in here, we could go okay, we down here we can change gamma, you know, again, some of the color options, definition and whatever. I want to see if there is a way. I think there's a way here. I'm not quite sure how it is to double or treble up this to give us more of a flavored band. But again, I'm not going to go there. Okay. What I want to do is click on the eye here, and this will give us the, if you like, the gradient presets. If you work in a program, for example, like Apophysis, Ultrafractal, or a few others, okay, you've got a UGR gradient, for example. What I've done is from my Ultrafractal training course, basically I created a couple of gradients. In fact, in Ultrafractal, these are the only two gradients I use, or I have used for the last 6 or 7 years. I use one or both, or a combination of both, and I'll go in and I'll change them as we go along. These are UGRs imported again. If you use the import button here, if you can import custom gradient presets, UF gradients, map gradients. Okay, so I'm going to assume the first one here are Xenodream or Jux gradients. You could probably, you know, create them, export them, and re-import them. The second one refers to Apo, so the program JWildFire and Ultrafractal. And I'm not sure what map gradients are. Okay, but if you've got some UGRs, you can bring them in. But what I want you to note here is look how simple this is. If you bring in an Apophysis gradient, there's going to be a thousand or near enough 1,000 different color stops on here. Impossible to edit manually. Okay, impossible. So I'm going to click off this. Okay, and these are typically what Apophysis gradients look like here. So if I, you know, click that, I go here, and then I want to go in and edit this gradient. Again, I click on this. Look at that. Can't do a thing with it. You can go in and globally, as I said before, you can go in here globally, adjust HSV. You can, you know, drag your colors up and down. Again, don't see the point in it. I'll go in here. You know, I definitely use these gradients a lot in Jux, as it happens. But, you know, more often than not, I'll go in, I'll use one on my own, okay? I can go in here and say I don't like the blue. Click on here, brown, okay? I can change, I can, you know, tighten these up. This is a little bit similar to how it works in Ultrafractal. You know, you've got stops, but you can play with hue, saturation, everything in Ultrafractal. You know, you can't hear, but I like sort of the drag sliders rather than, you know, having to go in and scrub these and, you know, amount. You know, to me, it's not as intuitive as Ultrafractal, but just about every fractal program that I have ever used has got a different gradient editor in it. Okay, so with that, okay, let's go okay with this. Okay, I'm gonna go with my gradient. We might change this yet, but we'll save it here, okay? Okay, let's go in now to the potluck, okay? Let's go up here, see what we get. Okay, could be interesting, could be interesting, could be interesting. We got back to something similar to what I had before. Okay, so this I like. Let's say I like this. Let's go in and change the color density. Okay, basically to me, I'm not really sure what this does. It sort of is, in a way, it's cycling. It's doing the same thing. It's kind of cycling the colors that were in there. Offset. Okay. Amount. Okay, I'm getting something here that I kind of like. I can work with. Okay. Power. Okay, let's say I like that. Let's save this. Okay, now say I don't like the first two. Okay, to get rid of one of these, I go Control, click, Control, click. I can then, resave this in the top spot and get rid of it there. So if I need to come back to it, this is now the default save, and it's freed up the rest of these spaces here. Okay, the inner coloring here is white. Okay, to me this is still one of these things I can't get. I find it a bit difficult to get used to this. I've been using it for a while now. I find it difficult to get used to. I'm going to go with the black here. Okay, looks kind of nice. Okay, but what I want to draw your attention to here is the inset. Okay, the inset refers to this nice Mandelbrot in the center. Okay, at the moment it's black, and I just, I think it would look nice in some kind of a pastely color. So let's change this, and let's go to solid color. Let's change this to mean linear. Solid color won't let you change anything, but if you go to any of the other options, it'll give you the ability to change this inner coloring. Okay, I've got this set to interior. Okay, which is the interior coloring down here. Because with the Mandelbrot, there's not really a lot we're doing with the interior. We're just, all we can really do is change the color in this. Other fractals, you can shape, add form, texture to the interior. So this, what I want to do is I want to toggle open the interior, and I want to change this gradient to my psychedelic one. So change this. So we've got the same gradient, with the same gradient. If you remember, I modified this a bit. Now what I want to do up here is where you see the density on the inset, just drag this up and down, and we can change that color. Because of the way I'm set up here, maybe it's in steps at once. So say I put 3 in there, it'll go red. If I go 4, it'll go orange. Okay, orange is really what I was after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this again. Okay. Now, a couple of questions. I'm not sure. I like this the way it is. Let's go back in. Let's see if we can do something with this green. Say I want it to be more of a blue shade. Maybe not that blue. Okay, something like this. Okay, I'm liking the look of that. So again, I've just the one stop. Look how easy this is. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stops, which basically cover the entire spectrum. Okay, by moving them around, I control the color. I'm controlling the color of the gradient, the setup here. Okay, we can get, as I said, I'm going to save this. If we change this, we can go into stuff that's more complicated. Okay, remember I saved these. Okay, I'm going to go into another gradient. Okay, and this is what I mean. Sometimes you get some really nice ones. Again, I'm going to save this here. You get a nice gradient like this. Okay, I'm going to save off. Again, who is going to basically go in and edit that? Not me. The overall global color, it could be pretty. I go in here and I go boom. Adjust HSV. Okay, let's just change the hue. Everything global. It's just doesn't do it for me. Sorry, but not at all. So I'm going to cancel out of that. What we'll do again is we can play with these to cycle the color, see what we get. You know, as I said, some of these are really nice, but this is kind of the Apo way of doing things. This is how you color in Apo in a way, is by shifting sliders. You haven't got control over individual colors. So to a degree, it's potluck. Okay, so there's something I really like. So I'm gonna save that. Okay, let's go back to what I had. Okay, this time I'm not feeling quite so psychedelic or so saturated and inclined. But again, even if it's a case of saturation, go back in here. I can change the saturation value. I can bring it right down like that. Brightness, I can bring it down a bit. I can hit OK. I can go back in here and this is what I was looking for before. I think you can double up down here. In other words, you can increase the bands here, etc. Nodes 256. Okay, again, I don't go there much. Too complicated for me. So I'm going to click out of it. I'm going to click OK. But I'm going to use this gradient. So at the end of the day, I've come in, I've used this gradient. I'm still using my own for the inner coloring. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I have it saved. So let's take a brief look at lighting. Okay, so in lighting off. Okay, lighting enabled. So with lighting enabled, I'm going to save a memory dot here. Okay, I'm waiting for this to render. In fact, out of the box, I really like this. I have to say, doesn't happen that often, but out of the box, I really like this. So let me see. Let's, for the sake of argument, let's tweak it. Let's go in. Okay. So this is the default lighting. Okay, I'm going to click on some of the presets. Okay, I normally stick to just this basic range. Occasionally, if I'm feeling a bit creative, I'll go into some of the others. I kind of like the plastics a lot. Plastic medium, for example. Okay, it's kind of an etched look in this case. Okay, I'm going to take the plastic medium. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to save this because now I'm beginning to like the plastic medium even more. Okay, what I want us to focus on here are the materials. First and foremost, the lighting boundary. If I click this off, okay, not much of a difference here. Okay, a lot of the time this gives it a few issues. Okay, what it does is it kind of throws a lighting algorithm over the whole image. Okay, and you can basically tweak it, as you see, by clicking on this. Changes a few different things. Okay, I'm going to go with this arched windows. Okay. Okay. What I was referring to are these here down here. Can you see the light is moving across the actual image here, and up and down. Okay. So these are kind of lighting maps. Which in a way are, these bear a relationship to the specular colours down the bottom here. Okay, I'm going to save this again because I did slightly change this. Have a look at the exterior depth. Okay. Okay, really the whole lighting thing is a combination of all of these boxes. I mean, you can get away with that. I was happy enough with it the way it was. Okay, it's getting too dark here. Okay. So say I go a bit dark, something like that. I can come down the bottom here to the specular emission and crank that up a bit. Okay, that brightens up the image again a bit. I'll come back up to the exterior. Okay, again, tweak that. Okay, it's got a kind of almost has a kind of a leathery look to it now. Again, so I'm liking this. and I'm going to save that. Okay, you can add texture. Okay, so again, I'm really not sure what texture it's applying here. Okay, I might have to actually adjust the depth again to get the texture. But you'll find, again, you know, generally texture will add ripples and various different things to the actual out color. Do I need to? Okay, to get this shine. Okay, the shine is kind of gone here. Okay, I'm going to go back by hitting the space bar. It'll bring you back to the default value. Okay, it's not. I think what was default? Okay, V brings you up one at a time. C brings you down. I can't remember what the minimum is. It N? N is the minimum. Okay, so the minimum value is N. Space bar is like the default. Okay, so if you ever run into crazy values here, you want to get back to the default as space bar. Reflection. Okay, again, as I said, this is really to do with the strength. Okay, the strength of lighting that was driven by the map and these guys, the actual lights up here. But I'm not sure what's happened to the. So we're changing the lighting possibly a bit there. Okay, I'm really not. For a demo, this is kind of going the rather strange way, because normally I get a big shiny reflection on here. Possibly if I change, okay, I'm log potential, okay. So let me go back to log potential, save. Okay, by changing the actual contour to log to potential. Okay, now I've got something here with a bit of shine on it. Okay. So by cracking up the reflections, you can see this almost glassy look of it. Shininess. Okay, so it's really, this is kind of sculpting. I'm doing sculpting these shapes with the light and this map up here. So again, can you see the effect of the map now? Okay, let's bring the emission up a bit. Okay. And so we've got something like this. I'm going to save this. Again, we've been through gradients. If I go in and throw a gradient over the materials, let's go in. Okay, that's it. So you can see straight away updating. We can color. We can color the diffuse materials here. It's like, in a way, throwing an extra filter over the light. Or a coloured shade on a light bulb, okay, and then the same thing here for the specular. So it's picking up these specular values here. Okay, can you see this not affecting the whole picture? It's just these where the specular lighting is here. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. I'm going to save it, but I'm going to come back here. I'm going to maybe pull the shine down a bit. And I'm going to leave it at that, because from here we can go in and we can render the image. Okay, I have mine set up for, it's a 19 by 11. So if I go up to the gear here, this will give me the actual Jux preferences for the image size. In other words, if I want to render HD, it's 1920 by 1080. So 1920 rounded is 19, 1080 is 11. So I set it up at 19 by 11. Okay, if I want to change this to a square format, I'm going to change this to 19. Okay, it's the square format, it'll give me a square. I can click drag. Okay, let it render out. But what I'm saying here, okay, yeah, so I'm letting it render out, so I suddenly now think this yellow is too bright. So if I go in here, I take my yellow, okay, and I want it to be something a bit like less saturated. If you're used to Photoshop, this is pretty similar to Photoshop slider. It is actually a Windows color picker. In effect, okay, give it a nice sort of a goldy color. I'll click OK. Less yellow. I mean, on that, as I said, I'll go ahead and render this out. So that's the tutorial. It's a little bit, you know, it's unrehearsed. It's a little bit, you know, monkey see, monkey do to a degree. I haven't explained it probably as well as I liked, and as I said, things didn't really happen as they normally happen to me when I'm normally working. Like I said, where I got this situation, I didn't panic where I wasn't getting the shine that I expected. I just went here and changed the contour. You know, so you get different results for each different contour. I mean, this is like an embossed look here, and again by changing those same values, we can affect, you know, how much light we throw in, how much we remove, how much shine. Because again, it's picking up light here, so there's got to be it's got to be controlled by this, and it is. Okay. Amount and shininess. Okay, there it is. So in this case, it's white. I didn't want it to be white. I could change this to maybe a blue color. Okay, so we've got, you know, this kind of blue here, and again, as I said, it's just, to me, too much. You know, it's a long way to go, a long way to actually, how to say, to cycle through all these one by one. If there was a kind of an auto cycle feature, I'd probably like it a bit more. But like I said, I tend to stick to very simple gradients. So come out of that again. I want to go back to 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I mean, I hope you've learned something from this. I said the thing to bear in mind from this lesson: iteration count. Okay. Ways. Hang on. Means of zooming. Okay. So I've got in here. Okay. I can either use I'm on the Mac, and I don't know what key it is on Windows. But if I use Command, click, and drag down, I'm zooming out. Command, click, drag down. Okay. I wonder. Hang on a sec. If it's no, it's not that either. So I want to go back. I think the levels of undo is limited to about 6 or 7 steps. So again, folks, I advise you to use these. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset this. Okay. As I said, it's Control, click, drag. Okay. Control, click, drag. Or in this case, it's Command, drag up. Okay. I'm not sure. Actually, this may be. Yeah, I have a feeling that this is where I'm saying Command here. This is going to be Option click. Try Option click on Windows, and maybe that's what's going to do it for you. So to move around, click drag, Control click, drag, zoom in, and possibly Option click, drag to drag in and out without the actual box. So that's it. Hope you've learned something from it. You know, give me a like if you have, or whatever, or just share your work. Give us a mention. Say you've learned something. And thanks for watching.